Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with? I was washing my hands to the ABC song before it was cool. We are in the PGER room of the Elks Veterans Memorial. It also serves as a conveniently located restroom and sometimes a conference room for our staff. It's funny though, this is the public part of the memorial, and we have been at this table in full planning mode and had tourists come in here to look around. There's also been times when we've been 5 or 10 minutes into a meeting and this door is opened and a staff member has had to come out and do our equivalent of the walk of shame. Now every past grand photograph is in this room. Except two. One of them is this guy right here, James Powell from Philadelphia, who was our 4th Grand Exalted Ruler, or Exalted Grand Ruler, as they were called back then. Now, it says here that he was never known to have had his picture taken. No photos. Makes you wonder. Now, next year, I hope to celebrate my 30th anniversary with the Elks. I say hope because with me, there's always a danger that I'll go a joke too far. But hopefully, next year, 30 years. 30 years may seem like a long time. Now, it is, but it's not quite so long that I've known any of these guys on this wall right over here. But on this side, I've known quite a few of these guys. This right here is our current board chair, Jim Grillo. And above him is Ken Cantoli. Ken was in charge of the search committee when I interviewed for the ENF job at the Grand Lodge Convention in Chicago in 1997. Next to him is Marvin Lewis. He was the chairman of the foundation board at the time. World's most honest jeweler and quite a talker. I used to call him a lot in those early days. And 30 minutes into our call, he'd say, "Well, Jim, it was nice talking to you." And I'd say, "Marvin, the reason I called was..." This is Bob Grafton right here. He still looks pretty much just like this. Amazing guy. He celebrated his 90th birthday by jumping out of an airplane. This is Don DePello right here. Don introduced me to a drink called the Charlie Brown, and I will never, ever forgive him for it. And this is Ted Hess. Ted was the Grand Exalted Ruler at the Dallas Convention in 1992, which was my first convention, and I met him then. Ted, like me, started his career as a reporter. I was a reporter for the Elks magazine at the time, and he took an interest in my career and kind of followed it, and eventually became sort of my patron or benefactor in the Elks, and I really owe it, probably more than anybody else, including myself, to him for the job I have today with the Elks. Now, right here is the second past Grand Exalted Ruler who's missing from the room. And you'll notice that the frame is gone. This is where Bob Dootsman's photo will go as soon as they're done framing it. And next to him, eventually, will be a photo of our freshly minted past Grand, Paul Ryan. One of the things we missed out on when the Baltimore Convention was canceled was the opportunity to witness the changing of the guard between these two men. We're going to try to give you some of that tonight. We're going to interview both of them, Bob and Paul. And we're going to try to give them an opportunity to say some of the things they would have been able to say on stage in Baltimore. Hopefully give you some insight into who they are and maybe share sides of them that you would not have known or seen. Now, if that weren't enough, after we interview them, we're going to announce some big changes to the Community Investments Program. Phase 3 kicks off on August 1st, and we're going to tell you all about that. So we have quite a show lined up for you this evening. I want to thank you again for allowing us to bring the foundation, bring the ENF and the convention experience into your homes. We appreciate that you're allowing us to do that. We want to thank you again for tuning in. We're trying to put on a good show for you. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's have some fun. Hello everybody, I am Jim, this is Debbie, and we are back with ENFtoYou. This is the third installment of our summer series. right?
Yes. Good evening, Jim. Good to see you again. It's been a month.
It sure has. And we have a very, very special episode this evening.
We really do.
All right, tonight's show is called The Two Grands because
we'll be joined by past Grand Exalted Ruler Bob Dootsman and the current Grand Exalted Ruler Paul Ryan.
Now, they should have been transitioning in Baltimore, right? And lost that opportunity. But tonight, we're going to talk with them, interview them, give them an opportunity to say some of the things that they would have been able to say on stage had we all been together in Baltimore, right?
It's always a highlight of the year, right? Hearing them and seeing the transition happen. So it's going to be nice to be able to talk to them and see how they feel about their year and what's to come in the year ahead.
Well, certainly the showstopper at opening ceremonies is the Grand's address.
Correct.
And then the next day on Monday is the election of the new Grand. So 2 big days at the convention every year that we lost. And tonight we're going to meet with both of those guys, the two Grands.
I'm excited.
And then if that were not enough, we're going to close tonight's episode by announcing what's next, phase 3 for the Community Investments Program. What's going to happen on August 1st. You're not going to want to miss that. So be sure to stick around until the end of the show.
Please do.
All right, without further ado, let's bring Bob Dootsman out here.
Get him up.
Debbie, we are not alone.
We are not alone anymore, Jim. We have been joined by past Grand Exalted Ruler Bob Dootsman. Welcome.
Bob, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
If this were a job interview, and I suppose it could be because you are now out of a job, we would start with some icebreakers. And I guess we'd like to start by, we understand that your family has just grown.
Oh, yes. My wife, Beth, and I have been married for a little over 30 years, but we are dog people. And we've, for several years now, we have had a little Wheaton Terrier that we found, a foundling. But more recently, just a few months ago, we found a little scruffy street dog who had been out and about, very, very reluctant to come up to anybody, but we managed to grab him, a little Shih Tzu, and his name is Hobo.
Aww.
And he's become just a love. He's around here somewhere. So
that's amazing.
We have 2 dogs, and they are family. No 2 ways about it.
I like when people say, who rescued who, right? My husband and I are also dog people, and we just started fostering a 14-week-old golden retriever. So she is a handful. I have scratches all up and down my arm to prove it. Razor teeth.
We had we were involved with golden retriever rescue out here in Los Angeles, and so we had a couple golden retrievers in past years, and one was a foster that we ended up adopting. So the Goldens are wonderful dogs.
They really are. They really are.
Good for you.
Thank you, and good for Hobo, actually, right?
He wants for nothing.
That's wonderful.
So, Bob, I think it's fun, when talking to someone who's achieved the highest office in the organization, like to talk about how you got involved in the first place with the Elks.
Well, I was, before I was an Elk, I was a member of the Culver City Lions Club. I was involved in that organization, and and we met at the Culver City Elks Lodge. That's my lodge. And a number of the members of that group were members of the lodge and sort of got to know the place a little bit, and ultimately was asked to become a member. And I did. I was back in 1989, February of 89. So it's been a long ride.
An interesting aside, I actually used to, in my summer and winter breaks from college, I used to work at Lions Clubs International. My mother actually had the same job that I have. She was the director of Lions Club International Foundation. So.
Oh, it's a big deal. No, Lions International, they do a lot of good work through their foundation. And so it's a different organization, different group of people, but it's, they do a lot of good work. They're big with eye care. It's helping the blind and things of that nature. So it's a small world when you get down to it sometimes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, so you join the Elks, and are you the kind of person who you join the organization, you start thinking about, like, how do I rise up? Or, at what point did you start thinking about, this is something I want to pursue in terms of leadership?
What happened was I became a member, and almost immediately there was an opening for something called an assistant esquire. This was, again, back when some lodges had an assistant esquire and an assistant chaplain, and our lodge was fortunate to have that kind of officer participation. So I became an assistant esquire. You know, what does that mean? Won't have to do anything. Next year I was esquire for 6 months, and then our lecturing night stepped down, and then then I became lecturing night for about 6 months, and then went through loyal leading into exalted ruler, was off a year, came back as exalted ruler again. There was a cause. So it just, a lot of things happened. I was trustee for a number of years, but the core of what I really found I did reasonably well was I got involved in the ritual community, became a ritual judge, was district training chair, was tri-district chair here in California. Because we have 18 districts, we have tri-district ritual training chairs. And then I went on to the state ritual panel, which is, we have a state ritual training committee and a state ritual contest committee. So I cycled through all of that. And so that was, again, didn't really expect it to go beyond that. Interestingly enough, after that, there was an opportunity for someone from our district to become, or down our way, to become a state assistant Tyler. And so I offered my name, thinking with my history, you know, that would be a nice, you know, get me on the state stage a little bit. And didn't happen. And so I felt, well, it's been a nice run, but so I'll just, you know, work in the district and do what I do. And then a few months later, I got a call about whether I was interested in going on the Grand Lodge Committee on Judiciary. Didn't really know much about it, knew something about, you know, knew the names of the people who had been around for a while, but ended up going on that, was a very active participation. And that kind of, you know, went on from there. So been an interesting ride.
Yep. So, and that ride sort of culminates in St. Louis, and the election, the ballot is cast, you are elected Grand Exalted Ruler, and then that kicks off a raucous celebration. Like, what's going through your head at that moment when the doors open, all these people march in, balloons are falling?
You know, you're standing up there, to be real honest, you're standing up there and you're just thinking, you know, all the people who stepped forward to get you to that point. And I suspect a lot of other, you know, past Grand Exalted Rulers will say the same thing, that, you know, I didn't mention the year before I was national president, I was president of the California-Hawaii Elks Association. So that back-to-back deal was quite a ride. You know, California, you're on the road some 40 weeks out of the year for you know, visits and things of that nature. So, you know, through that part of the journey, you know, there were dozens of people who stepped up to support me, to help us out. The people who stepped forward to organize the rally. You know, it's getting all this stuff, you know, rooms full of, you know, baubles and bangles and, you know, bling, you know, getting the bags, organizing the volunteers. It's just tremendous, you know, getting the balls and the balloons hung. Just a lot of effort went into, you know, making sure things went right. And so that was, you know, kind of a moving experience to know all of that effort to help us. And it paid off. It was a really nice event.
And the year started with such great promise, because we were coming off, you know, we just posted our first membership gain in nearly 40 years, and people were really excited. And you must have felt some of that on the first 6 or 7 months while you were traveling, right? Like, what did you see out there?
There was a lot of good energy. You know, in St. Louis, the first time since '79, we had a net gain. A lot of people are excited that we can do it after all. You know, cause is not lost, any hope is not lost. And so getting out there, there's a lot of good energy. Talked to a lot of people. We were hearing the numbers were going reasonably well. The people, there was a fresh spirit in my mind. I mean, a lot of people will say that, but based on St. Louis, that, you know, it's a new day for Elkdom. And so I tried to build on that energy, to make sure people are encouraged. My motto for the year was honoring the past, embracing the future. It's to pay homage to, you know, the people and the energy and passion that had, you know, from past years. But, you know, to set the stage that, given the national game, the Elks National Foundation is just such a tremendous vehicle to help lodges do good work in their communities. All of these tools are in place now to help lodges and encourage lodges to continue their good work, to move forward, to support their communities, to the children, the vets, to help each other. All that energy was there, and it was just a great ride until the middle of March.
Yeah.
And we were able to do 36 visits. Had a wonderful time. Great-hearted people. But the last 12 or so did not happen. Oklahoma actually they rescheduled, so we were able to go there for about 6 days. What's frustrating is that plus 94 last year, that at one point I'm told, nationally we were tracking for 1,000 member net gain for this year, which would have been just would have been over the top. But again, because of the shutdowns and everything else going on, that last month things things kind of had a setback. But nevertheless, a lot of Elks continue to do good work. Good things are happening, and I every good wish to Paul Ryan and Stacy as they make their rounds, because they deserve a good year, and hopefully I'm sure that will happen.
Yeah, hopefully we can get back to some semblance of normalcy before too long. But in the meantime, I think the Elks have found ways to carry on. We've been conducting our meetings via Zoom or other video conference. We've been installing officers. We've been conducting our business and serving our communities sort of the way we always have, right? It's not quite the same, but we're carrying on.
Not quite the same, but a lot of creativity.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which is really encouraging to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we as an organization, we are more than the walls of our lodges, right?
So hoping for good things.
Just a quick question, for me personally, and for probably most people, your year on the road as the Grand Exalted Ruler seems like such a grind. It's like something like 48 weekends out of the year you're traveling. Now our paths intersected in Mississippi in December, and I was reading your bio in the program at one point and saw that you hadn't missed an LA marathon. At the time, you had participated in all 34, and I was thinking, well, this probably doesn't bother. This probably the grind of the road here is probably a piece of cake compared to what Bob's used to.
Well, back in the day, it was around 1986 or so when they first started the LA Marathon, I was training pretty conscientiously. And so that was a good start. And the first 5 years, and then the 10 years, and after the first 10 years, we were the people who had done all 10 were formally designated the legacy class. And we got a certificate commendation from the mayor at the time. And the group started taking shape, which was kind of an interesting thing. Over the years, my training has fallen off a lot, but so far it's been 35 years. There are about 127, I think, people who have still done all 35 of them now. And so it's a fairly close-knit group. I'm not as close with some because I don't do the training runs with them, but usually the weekend after the race every year, there's a brunch somewhere here in Southern California, and there'll be 100 or so people who show up. So it's kind of a nice group. I keep talking about all the traveling is that, all the sandbaggers on the East Coast, on the West Coast, we're getting up at like 3 or 4 in the morning to get a 6 o'clock plane to get almost anywhere. So I guess, Paul Ryan from Minnesota, he'll get a little bit of a break on when he has to get out of bed in the morning. So
that is true.
Tremendous ride, though. Tremendous ride.
We certainly appreciate how willing you were and accommodating you were of our special requests, the curveballs we threw at you throughout the year. Like, I know you were headed to Hawaii anyway, but we had the side visit where you went and presented the check to the Pearl Harbor folks, and we had you all lined up to go between 2 trips to go to Houston for the McDonald's All-American game for the Wooten Award presentation, which ultimately was canceled. But you were game and willing to do it, and anything we asked you to do, you were willing to do, and we certainly appreciate that.
It's been my pleasure. As national president, just, on the one level as national president, we felt the need to support the program, to be out there as best we can be, to be, to make Elkton shine. That's what and there's a lot to shine about the organization. But again, you go places, you're treated wonderfully. Just good-hearted Elks across this great land. To find out more and more about what they do, the programs, the activities, the things they're dealing with. It's they were tremendous opportunities. Thank you for giving me those opportunities. The check was a great thing, and the local media was there. It was on the radio. Heard it on the radio that afternoon, and so it's. More people need to know about Elkton. They need to know what Elks do. They need to know what's going on at their local lodges and in their communities. That and I used to talk about my talks. I would say that for far too long, the old school old style of Elkdom, where we'll do good stuff but we don't talk about it, doesn't really work for us. That's how we went from 1,600,000 members down to a little under 800,000. When the word gets out there, all the surveys say people love what we are doing. We just have to do a little better job of getting that word out there. So anything I could do to support that mission, all in, happily. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate it for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Bob, and thanks for taking the time out to talk with us on our show. And I'm sure people are going to be happy to hear from you. We lost the opportunity. It's always a highlight of the opening ceremonies at convention when the Grand gets up there and talks about the year. And we missed that opportunity. We missed hearing from you, and one of many things we miss about convention. But glad that you had an opportunity to talk a little bit about your year with us.
Great. Well, it's been a wonderful ride. We look forward to my sponsorship here in Area 7. Jim Grillo is a tremendous past Grand Exalted ruler. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. He and I have worked very well together, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to work with him, to learn from him, to share leadership going forward. So it's Area 7's a busy place, but we're looking forward to a good time.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob. We, the real work starts now, I guess, and good luck to you. And thanks so much for your leadership this past year.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you both.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Team Dootsy.
Team Dootsy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, look at that.
Oh my gosh, is he adorable?
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, Bob Dootsman, what a guy.
What a guy. How impressive is he? He really epitomizes that life is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
It's a marathon 35 times.
35
I'm impressed
times.
that my wife's run 2 marathons.
Yeah.
This guy's 35.
Right, 35.
Yeah, including one while he was the Grand Exalted Ruler.
Combine that with the back-to-back travel from being the state president
'Cause
for California, Hawaii, and then into the national presidency. That's a lot.
The California Hawaii Elks Association is massive.
Absolutely. They have, I think, 19 districts, right? So they
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Very impressive, and how nice of him to join us today.
We should probably clarify the Pearl Harbor check, what that was all about. It was
yeah.
the fundraising campaign to help preserve, modernize, maintain the Pearl Harbor National Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
And the Elks took on, actually, at opening ceremonies in St. Louis,
Right.
when then Grand Exalted Ruler Mike Lure challenged us to raise money for that purpose. And Bob, during his visit to Hawaii, took a side trip to Pearl Harbor to present our first check, which is for $100,000. We've since presented an additional check for $150,000, and we have more to present once we're able to.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you can learn more about that and donate at enf.elks.org/ph. Yeah. Debbie, we've reached that time of the show.
We sure have.
It's time to announce our contest opportunity. One of our lucky viewers will win a $500 donation to the charity of their choice.
How awesome is that?
Any charity they want, including us, but it could be another charity as well, whatever you want. And all you have to do is comment. Now, let me make it clear. You have to do this tonight. It doesn't have to be during the live premiere, but it has to be tonight, because tomorrow, Monday, July 27th, we will select the winner. And obviously anybody who comments after that will not be eligible.
Nope.
All you have to do is comment on the YouTube show with the hashtag the 2 grands.
2 grands.
Just like that. Can you see that? The 2 grands. And we will select one lucky winner to win a $500 donation to the charity of their choice. Couldn't be easier.
Could not be easier. Please comment.
All right, so please comment. And now we're ready to introduce our new Grand Exalted Ruler.
Hello, Elks. My name is Paul Ryan, and I'm your next Grand Exalted Ruler. I would like to say thank you for allowing Stacy and I to represent you in this fine organization. I actually married into this chapter of my life. My wife Stacy is what we affectionately call an Elks brat. Her mom and dad have been Elks for many, many years. Everybody in her family that is capable are Elks. So as you can imagine, it was a yes dear moment when she asked me to join. However, after joining and seeing all the wonderful things that this organization does, it was very clear to me, I am an Elk. After that, Stacy hardly could say no to me for anything I wanted to do within the organization. Little did we know that it was going to lead to here.
Debbie, we are not alone.
No, we are not, Jim. We have been joined by National President Paul Ryan. Welcome.
Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You look taller than the last time I saw you now that you're Grand Exalted Ruler.
Maybe a little puff in the chest, I guess. I don't know.
So you were installed recently via Zoom. What was that like? A little bit different than what you anticipated, I guess, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously we all would rather have been in Baltimore together on the stage, but I had the pleasure of the company of 75 people at my lodge, and of course via Zoom it took on the obligation. So not what I wanted, but it was definitely a atmosphere that I enjoyed very much.
And presumably some of those folks would not have been in Baltimore, would not have been able to see that happen. So that must have been pretty special for you to take that obligation in front of friends and family.
Absolutely. Obviously my family would have all been in Baltimore, but there was definitely some members there that said, we weren't planning on going to Baltimore, but we're really glad to have been invited to this. So it was quite an event.
So the past few months, you've been busily preparing for your year and wondering how it was going to unfold. But during quarantine, have you read any favorite books or watched any favorite movies?
Well, ironically, I'm not much of a book reader, but when I do, it is definitely courtroom drama. I love a John Grisham book to no end. So if you catch me reading, it's usually on a Kindle, and it's usually a John Grisham book that I'll be reading.
Classic.
Do you like the movies as well then?
I am. I'm a huge movie buff. You asked me a question of what my favorite movie is. I don't know if I can give you a specific one. However, one that definitely stands out in my head, probably just because I've watched it at least a dozen times, and that's the movie Miracle about the 1980 Olympic hockey team.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good
one of
one.
my favorites.
I was at a junior high dance when that game was played.
Good memory.
Yeah.
You were at a junior high dance. I wasn't even in junior high. So let's age ourselves here.
Well, you could tell by my white beard that I'm a bit older than you. So, now that you're the Grand and your biography is circulating far and wide as folks anticipate, hopefully, your visits, what's something that people won't read about you in that bio, something that people don't know about Paul Ryan?
I hate to admit this because I might get caught on this one, but especially on my visits, because I got a past Grand that I know would love doing this too. But I was in, I believe it was 6 musicals from the age of, in 6th grade all the way through my senior year. And then at 3 of those musicals, I had the lead part. So I don't know how to act. It was the only reason I got into those musicals was because I could sing.
Wow.
Cool.
Do you still remember any of your lines or any of the songs?
Well, one of the musicals was Grease, so that's another one of my favorite movies. So you got to just put it out
Awesome.
there. Wasn't a lead in that one, but it definitely was a lot of fun to perform that.
You
Yeah,
have
one
to
of the
tell us what
Thunderbirds.
character you were.
I was just in the background. That was in 7th grade, so really I was one of the young kids in the group. As a matter of fact, my mom made the director drive me home every night after practice because I was so young.
How fun.
That's sort of like a full circle. You know, obviously the Elks started as the Jolly Corks, and it was a group of actors, and now here we have a national president who is an accomplished actor in his past, or
I
a
don't
singer
know about
anyway.
accomplished.
We'll say entertainer.
A lead in 3 musicals, that's accomplished.
Yeah, it's more than I've done.
Well,
So,
like I said, it was only because I could carry a tune.
so we were talking recently, and I guess it must have been at the February advisory meetings back in happier days. And you shared a story about how you got involved with the Elks, which was an unusual story. I was wondering if you could share it for our viewers.
Sure. In actuality, I married into this situation. My wife and I have been friends and since for a long period of time. But when we did get together, one of the things was she asked me is that, well, are we still going to be together in August? And she invited me to our Elks youth camp here in Minnesota. Had a fabulous time, saw what the camp was all about, what it did for kids, and never looked back. So with her and her family, all being Elks, and when she asked me to join after that moment, it was kind of a, yes, dear. But then after I realized everything that this organization does, it was very clear to me that I was an Elk. So joining was not an issue at that point.
You know, back then, did you see yourself eventually in this role, or is this something that just sort of happened along the way?
It kind of just happened along the way. It has a lot to do with it. My son Jordan put it in his speech, and I really wish you guys could have heard that in Baltimore. But when I put something when something's put in front of me, I dedicate myself to it 100%. And I was really glad to be a part of an organization that was very non-political, and that you couldn't bring your business into it. And so for me, it was a true escape from what I do on a daily basis. So the Elks, it was easy to put a lot of dedication to it. So, and I guess my sponsor, past Grand Exalted Ruler Rumney, just kind of saw that dedication and ran with it. So.
You mentioned Jordan, and you have 3 kids, and like, how are they feeling now that their father has the highest office in the land in Elkton?
Well, I think the younger ones are still a little bit don't totally get it, even though they're 16 and 13. They've been a part of Elks since the day they were born. So it's really, for them, it's just another step that dad has taken. But I think Jordan is starting to realize it. He's my oldest one. He's 26. And he's starting to take a note of it, and he's helped me a lot with doing videos and taking pictures and things like that. So I think he's starting to see it. But
are you able to command authority with a gavel? Get them to stand and.
That's mom's duty.
So your theme is creating momentum. We read about that in the newsletter. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how you came up with it and what you're hoping for this year?
Well, obviously, originally it was developed because, I am one of the youngest. I don't know exactly if I'm the youngest, but one of the youngest state or national presidents. And so I was thinking that, well, this slogan was kind of going to be towards recruiting, just like my business is location. Mm-hmm. But it just totally ended up, I was thinking, oh, we got to get younger members. We got to get, different affiliations and try and get them involved and go more with the, try and find fraternities in colleges and see if we can keep them after the fraternity in college and join a fraternity of your adulthood. But
with the whole pandemic changed that slogan, and not the slogan itself, obviously, but the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Right now, with this turmoil that we're going through, the slogan has kind of taken a different focus and is now more focused on what we need to do to get us out of this and bring us into the future.
Yeah, and the Elks have a good role to play there, the way we serve our communities and help people who need our help. And there are certainly a lot of them in our communities right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we really need to keep our programs out there, keep our enthusiasm about assisting our communities, and just keep that focus rolling into the next few months. And hopefully that's it, but maybe years.
So what's your schedule looking like now in a typical year? And we're not in a typical year, but in a normal year, the Grand would I think is on the road like in 48 out of the 52 weekends in the year, something like that. But what's your schedule looking like the next few months with all the uncertainty?
Well, fortunately, we have our 2 first trips had not been canceled. Montana is Wednesday, and so actually tomorrow we're flying out to Montana and going to enjoy some time out there with the Montana Elks Association. North Dakota is a couple weeks after that, and that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. So we're going to drive over there and join them for a few days also. After that, you can't see it right now because I'm blocking it, but my calendar has got all of the dates that were supposed to be gone, and I marked the ones out that have been canceled in orange, and unfortunately right now a lot of them are in orange. So but most of August has been canceled, so I got to figure out some avenues that we can work with there. And part of September has Wisconsin, and the Alaska trip has been canceled right now. So I have a feeling, because most of the September traveling is on the East Coast, that we'll probably miss out on a lot of that. But what Stacy and I have just agreed to is that there's no reason we can't continue our benevolence and figure out ways to keep the enthusiasm and just roll with it, and we'll get through it.
You'll become a Zoom expert, I'm sure.
That's probably true.
Right? Yeah. And that's been kind of the best thing to come out of the pandemic is how adaptable people have been. Like you said, you were at your lodge when you were installed, took the oath. It's really been heartening to see how everybody is like, no, we're going to connect, and we're going to connect in the way that makes sense and that's safe. And technology has really enabled us to do that.
And I'll tell you, it's really been overwhelming and just heartwarming, the amount of well wishes that we're getting on social media. We all, a lot of the grants have done, social media pages and stuff like that. So far, I haven't developed all of that, but my personal page is just getting on fire. And so I just love it. I just love seeing that. And so that's one way for us to connect. So,
yeah, and I think the membership has a desire to connect. That's why they join organizations like the Elks, and it's been heartening to see that even when we've been unable to connect at our lodges, we found other ways to do it. And so you see people continuing the work of Elkdom, continuing the social side of Elkdom virtually.
Absolutely. Yeah. From trivia nights to doing things like
happy hours, trivia nights,
yeah,
installations. It's like, it's everything is continued. There was a bit of a hiccup while we tried to figure it out, but we're getting back up to speed.
There's lots of ways to continue to create that momentum. So that was a very prescient slogan you picked.
Right. And I'll tell you what, our grants have been going like gangbusters too. It's
fantastic. That's wonderful to hear, because those grants are going to be absolutely essential in what we're doing these days, because a lot of the lodges are going to need the funds in order to be able to do those projects that we've continued to do for years and years and years. And some of them just do it without the grants, but they're not going to be able to now. They're going to need those grants.
Yeah, and we've been able to relax some of our rules. We've been a little bit more flexible, which has been fantastic. And we've seen just yesterday, actually, we approved the 800th gratitude grant. So that's amazing, right? Yeah. They started on April 1st. We're already nearing 500 Spotlight grants, so that's awesome too.
Yep.
And people are using them, and they're using them to support food banks and a lot of hunger. A lot of lodges are addressing the hunger issue that's happening in the country. So it's been wonderful.
Right.
Super. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
So, Paul, like, what's your biggest hope for your year?
My biggest hope is that we can come out of this pandemic and move forward. I don't know, you know, past Grand Exalted Ruler Helsel and I were talking one day, and he says, I don't know what's going to be the new norm when we come out of this. And I agree with him 100%. What is going to be the new norm? I guess if I was to say what my goal would be is come out of this and get back to what we remember as a norm. If that isn't the case, then develop, create, and move forward. So.
Awesome.
Well, at least we're not the only people in the situation, right? Trying to figure out what comes next and how we're going to emerge from this. So we're
Definitely
all in good
not.
company.
And because of the fact that we're so used to doing what we do on a daily basis, that's one thing that I know won't change. Elks are still going to be out there and be the charity, the organization that they are. And I think that's why we are going to be one of the organizations that thrive coming out of this.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think it's going to help to have, you know, a young, enthusiastic leader like you know, leading the way.
Yeah. Young, I don't know, but younger.
Younger, fine, younger. But, you know, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to say, you know, that you might have said in Baltimore that you'd like to take this opportunity to hit on any points?
You know, I think that one thing that I do want to do is that nobody gets into this position without a lot of people behind you to help you and push you along and keep you on that path. And so I'm not going to say thank you to each and every one of them. I'm not even going to say one-to-one individual person, but all of the people that have been associated with me and my Elks career know who they are. And I just want to say a great big thank you to all of them. I look forward to meeting all the wonderful, wonderful Elks out there. And I just hope that we get that opportunity. And if we don't, tap me on the shoulder. I'm a guy that you can approach. So
awesome. So we don't want to let you go without giving you the opportunity to announce your fundraising goal for ENF.
Well, you know what I know, that there originally that was a little bit steeper. I had a grand ambition to move it big strides, but you know, when this whole thing took about, I think it was smarter for me to just try and raise it a little bit. So we're going to do $4.80, but I want to achieve way more than that, and I think we can still, even in this type of environment that we are in. I'm glad I didn't do the big jump, but I also don't want to be the first grand that doesn't reach their goals. So
we're going to work hard to not only reach that goal, but to set a new record. And we're going to do it in a way that's respectful and
Takes into consideration what's going on with,
thank you.
yeah, what's going on.
Right.
A lot of people hurting, but there's a lot of generosity out there.
Right.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the support, and anything I can do on my end, please let me know.
Absolutely. And I'm hopeful that come next April that I will be giving up my seat in the awards banquet for the national finals at the Hoop Shoot to you.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us, and good luck on your travels. And here's hoping that the schedule gets busier instead of freeing up for you. And I mean that in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And if it does free up, then I hope that we get to do these a few more times and a few more often. So
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Paul, and congratulations again.
Yeah, congratulations.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on again today.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Bye.
Take care.
Paul Ryan, everybody.
Awesome.
Paul Ryan.
How about it? God bless him.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, not an easy time to be going into an office like this and trying to figure out what your travel schedule is going to be like
Right.
ready to go
Right.
or not at
Right.
a moment's notice. I mean, just put yourself in his shoes for a moment. That's nuts.
Right, to work up to becoming the national president, right? And all that goes into that, all the planning, as Bob talked about, the party, all the things that Paul isn't going to have.
Right.
And then to have a big part of it be on the road, and then have these cancellations, right? You've got to just adapt,
absolutely.
as we talked about. I feel like we're in really good hands, and that he's going to be able to rise to the occasion and make lemonade with the lemons.
I sure hope so, and I really hope that you all have the opportunity to spend time with Paul and Stacy at your state association events.
However it is, right? In
Right.
person if it's safe to do so, or
whatever that
virtually,
means.
whatever
Right.
that means.
Right.
He will be connecting with the membership, it sounds like.
So we feel the order's in good hands as we try to move forward.
Absolutely.
And you know what else is in good hands? The Community Investments Program. Now, August 1st, just a few days from now, is going to mark the next phase, phase 3, of the slow rollout that we've had to do this year as the program adapts to this environment we're in, this uncertain environment we're in.
Right.
And now we want to tell you about what this next phase means, what's going to happen. And we're actually going to turn it over to the Sipsters and let them tell you what's happening in their own words. Let's go.
Oh, hi there. My name's Doug. I'm a grants coordinator from the Elks National Foundation. You may know me from my prior work on the Midday Minute. I'm here to talk to you about impact grants. We have 64 amazing lodges with impact grants that are doing great work in their community across the country. For the 2021 grant year, we have decided not to award new impact grants, and we are currently reviewing second quarter reports of our impact grantees to help inform our decision on impact grant renewals for next year. We hope to have that information by September 1st. For information about the Promise Grant, I'll send you over to my coworker, Katie.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Graves and I work at the Elks National Foundation in the SIP office, and I work specifically with the Gratitude Grants and the Promise Grants. As we all know, this year has been really weird. It's brought on a lot of uncertainty and a lot of challenges, and with that, a lot of change. Our office has been working really hard to change the grants in a way that's cognizant of everything that's going on in the world. And unfortunately, this year, one of the biggest changes that we're having to make is that we are not going to open the Promise Grant this year. We're really encouraging lodges to use their Beacon grants or their Gratitude grants if they're eligible to fill that need for children in need in your community. One of the lodges that's doing a really good job of this is the Fort Pierce Elks Lodge. They are working with a local organization to put on a back to school project that's COVID safe and keeps them healthy and keeps the children healthy. I actually wrote a story about them recently and it's on SIP Central, and I would really, really encourage you to go ahead and give that a read if that's something that your lodge is looking into. Additionally, active projects are something that we have always encouraged, but this year we're really encouraging lodges to do so safely. I recently also created an infographic, which is also on SIP Central. I believe it's called Active Project Guidelines, that really outlines clearly what the CDC recommends and what we're recommending to keep yourself, your constituents, and the people in your community safe and healthy during this time. Again, we're really encouraging lodges to use their Beacon grants. So for more information on the Beacon grants and how they're going to look this year, I'm going to kick it over to my coworker, Megan.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. My name is Megan Morris and I'm a programs coordinator over in the Community Investments Program. Welcome to my jungle. This is where I've been working from home every day since we've closed due to COVID. But as you can see, there are many fearsome animals out here in the jungle. I have to wear camouflage just to hide from the fearsome lion that stalks me every day while I'm working. Look, she won't even let me work. We are so excited to announce that Beacon grants will be increased this year. That's right, Beacon grants will be worth $3,500. $3,500 available to every lodge for them to put on a charitable project in your community. In addition to that, your Spotlight grant can still be used as an option to merge into your Beacon grant to increase the Beacon grant by $2,000. So, Every lodge has the opportunity to raise their Beacon Grant to $5,500 to put on active charitable projects in their community. In addition to that, we know that an active project might not be the most feasible right now. If that's the case, we welcome you to donate to one of your partner organizations or to an organization providing COVID relief. Or you can split it up and do both of those things. Beacon Grants open on August 1st and they close on December 31st, so you have until the rest of the year to apply for a Beacon Grant. But we encourage you to apply as soon as possible once the applications open on August 1st in order for you to make a difference in your community during these times. Be the hero that your community needs and apply for the Beacon Grant right on August 1st.
Okay, so big things coming for the SIP on August 1st, just a few days from now.
Just a few days.
And we know you're all going to jump on this next phase, just like you did on April 1st and on June 1st. And we're going to be turning those grants around as quickly as we can and getting that money out so that you can do what you do in your communities.
Yes, we're ready. We're ready for you. Absolutely. And we appreciate the patience too. Everybody has been very patient with the rollouts. So.
Right. We want to thank you all for tuning in to ENFtoYou, the Two Grands. We'll be back on August 9th. That episode is going to be all about the hoop shoot. We're going to have Jim Grillo on. He's the chairman of the ENF Board of Trustees. He's also the chairman of the Hoop Shoot Advisory Committee. So we're going to be talking about the hoop shoot, how that's adapting, what the hoop shoot is going to look like in this next 2021 season. So look forward to that. In the meantime, if you've liked this episode, please give us a thumbs up. Feel free to share it so more people can see and hear from the Two Grands and learn about those SIP changes. And if you're not already subscribing, click the subscribe button and tap that bell so you'll be notified every time we post new content.
And contests.
So you'll be notified every time we post new content, and we will see you on August 9th.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, I know things haven't been easy. It hasn't been easy for any of us, but we're doing our best to rise to the occasion and help Elks build stronger communities. On August 1st, we'll introduce another $6.5 million to make available for lodges to use to serve the needs of their community. We hope that it's going to be for COVID relief, and we hope that it's going to be something that you can do safely. We really appreciate you hanging in there with us and being patient, and we really appreciate you taking time to watch us tonight. Thank you so much. Bye.